Inside the Barriers, brought to you by Bet Deluxe. Serious betting for serious punters.
G'day, we're inside the barriers and a big welcome. Bet Deluxe right online with you on a super Saturday coming up in Melbourne and in Sydney, and a soggy track up in both venues. G'day, Miles, how you doing?
Hello, Brian. Heavy 8 in Sydney at the moment, heavy 10 at Caulfield. Hopefully we can get some weather to dry these tracks out, but still makes for good racing. Caulfield Cup Day, Everest Day, it's one of the great days of the spring.
It's interesting when you've got the new event, the big one, the TAB Everest up there in Sydney. It's only a few years old. $15 million on turf, the richest race in the world. And it's going to be a beauty. Nature Strip is there to defend his title, but a couple of little fellas down the bottom chipping right away at him.
Yeah, there certainly are, and we'll get stuck into the Everest too, probably, Brian. Nature Strip defending the title, had to travel overseas, and it's probably not the most ideal of lead-ups for an Everest. It's changed around from what he normally does. He got the chocolates last year, but just remember too that Mars Crusaders missed out by a lip at a big price last year. So I've actually almost seen it exactly the same way. Nature Strip, judging off that last run and that win, look, he's back, he's as big as ever, he's as strong as ever, he's the best horse we have in the country. He has to go on top. But there's a couple I think you can play at the bottom. Mars Crusader, though, has been superb this preparation in the lead-up. Wayne Hawkes, during the week, has come out and he said, almost declared, it wins.
Yeah.
Mars Crusader genuinely flat-out wins. So if you can have a bet at your 225 range at Nature Strip and then go and maybe even save your Mars Crusader, that's how I'm playing it. How are you seeing it? There's horses like Lost and Running, Eduardo, that always got to be it. Marzu's a dead set duck. I mean, that loves it heavy, but it's pretty narrow at the top and then wide open outside.
Yeah, the horse that really excites me is 𝘎𝘢𝘮𝘭𝘪. I think he's the best 3-year-old in the land. He's got barrier 2, so he's there with 53. He's got D-Lane, one of the best in the business. Where does he land in the run? What start does he give the speed horses, the Eduardo, Nature Strip? How far off them is he going to be turning?
Oh, look, he's putting the picket fence up at the moment, isn't he, 𝘎𝘢𝘮𝘭? He's to this preparation, but that last when he got out to the middle of the track where I think the ground was a little bit better going, he's drawn inside here and probably drawn inside on a wet track.
Go back and then come. Yeah.
He has to go back and then come around.
Yeah.
A few other horses. Shades of Rose has done nothing wrong its last 4 starts. I mean, that's another horse that's probably going to try to go up with a lighter weight and maybe break their heart from gate 8. So, look, I can't look past Nature Strip. He's the bet. He's the horse. He's the only one I can go in confident, and I'm going to be saving Mars Crusader, I think, at double figures. But unless it goes to a really heavy 10, maybe Marzu or a horse like that might come into it.
And, of course, at weight for age, 58.5 for Nature Strip. If it was a handicap, he'd have 65. If he runs in this again next year, he'll have 58.5 again, and the year after and the year after. So these horses can never get a break off him.
No, it's the good part about weight for age racing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he is 58.5 rather than 60, and you look down the bottom, Shades of Rose at 56.5 kilos.
Too close.
Too close. Gets in at the weights against Nature Strip. Okay still, but that's too close for the difference in horses. I mean, right down the bottom, Giga Kick at 53. I mean, this is an absolute throw up the stumps, I think, for James Harron. And I might be able to eat my words, but not on a deck like that. I can't keep pushing the Nature Strip / Mars Crusader bin enough.
So, Bet Deluxe, 220?
225 at the moment with Bet Deluxe. We're going to do a pick, aren't we?
Yeah,
we're going to do a pick for where the winners can pick.
So our viewers are a chance now to, if you can give us the 1, 2, 3 over the line, correct order, of course, the trifecta, for the Everest, and you'll see it online for us. $500 coming to you from Dan Murphy. You can make a nice mess of that, couldn't you?
You certainly can. $500 at Dan Murphy's, and we'll go our 1, 2, 3s. I'll kick it away. Brian, is Nature Strip on top for me. I've got Mars Crusader running in to fill out the numbers, and you can't leave out Eduardo. He's been flying. I think especially with a heavy track. So I am 1, 4 and 2 as my first 3 for the Everest.
OK, the 3-year-old scares me. I think he'd be charging late, and I think Private Eye's there somewhere, but I'm 1, 11, 3. 1, 11, 3, that's my trifecta.
You like anything else on the card?
Cascadian. I thought he might be the one in race 3, number 1. I think he's going well enough. Early use of the track, yeah. I'll go with him as a
He looks a really nice bet, doesn't he, for Godolphin. I've gone one a little bit later in the Silver Eagle. I've gone with Mr. Mozart for the Hawks team again. Brent have Dulla aboard. This horse loves a heavy track. And
We liked him last week, didn't we?
yeah, and look, he's obviously a bit unlucky last start as well. So Mr. Mozart, for me, you're going to get around that sort of $4.50 range.
Now, Caulfield Cup. Interesting with the rail position, 6 metres out. True last Saturday, true on Wednesday. They were getting off the fence probably mid-afternoon, so I'd say with the rail being covered by 6 metres, the movable rail, they're going to be scouting deep. No doubt, we saw that. And it looks as though there's no break in the weather. Smoke and Roman, 51.5. Jamie Eustace Ma, it gets all the ticks.
It gets all the ticks, Smoke and Romans for me. And I've said to a few people this week, if you told me that Smoke and Romans was going to be a Caulfield Cup favourite 4 months ago, I would have laughed at you. If you told me I'd be picking it in the Caulfield Cup 4 months ago, I would have laughed at myself. This horse is airborne at the moment. We know that the Ma Eustace team, there's no better trainer of stayers in the land at the moment than the Ma Eustace team. But he's done nothing wrong, and I think a lot of people are just going to overlook him just based on reputation alone.
Exactly, yeah.
You know how they start to bin horses a bit and,
Yep.
he shouldn't be there, he shouldn't be there. On form, he is going the best of any horse in this race.
Of course.
𝘬𝘰𝘯𝘭𝘪𝘯𝑚 is the interesting one. This is the one where...
It's breaking my heart.
It is, and we've heard about people talk about ratings, and I'm not a big ratings man myself, but a few people have mentioned during the week that 𝘬𝘰𝘯𝑚 has obviously run up to a rating far greater than any other of these horses, but that's racing. You've got to do that on the day better than any other horse. So
The wheels have come off this preparation.
have it that Edward Cummings has come out and said the horse is going better than ever.
Well, that's beaut, but it's not on the track.
And it's not in the results either. So I had it pinned for a Caulfield Cup probably a long way out,
Me
Bryan.
too. Yep.
Now I'm just starting to get a little bit concerned, but the track now comes right into it. So this is where do you go shopping straight down the path of the mudders, should I say.
Yep.
That Montefilia, $20, loves the wet. Go to another horse, probably like a 𝘨𝑚arian. Handle the wet. Is that up to it after running in behind Cascadian up in Sydney? So I'm big Smoke and Romans, but I'm probably going to have to shop just a little bit to save with some horses at big prices, especially if it remains a heavy 10 at Caulfield.
And if it's playing to the leaders, and we'll know by race 9, of course, with this ground, Knights ought to just go straight to the front from the outside, doesn't it?
Knights Order being a Waterhouse spot, have to from 18.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go back on a heavy 10, it's going to take you forever to get to the front. I think there's going to be a reasonable amount of tempo. A horse like Nonconformist, you wonder where it gets to in the run from gate 15, whether that has to push forward and sit up maybe close enough on speed. 𝘐𝑢 finally gets back to a Caulfield Cup with 54 kilos, mind you. But a lot of these are probably a query on a genuine heavy 10. So Benno's been going well. If it was dry, I'd be all over Inspirational Girl, like a rash, Bryan. But, I mean, in the heavy ground, it doesn't look like it handles it, so you've got to leave that out. Once again, process of elimination, you come back to the horse. It's had 3 goes on the heavy for 1 win and 1 second and is absolutely airborne.
And the Turnbull Stakes form stacks up beautifully. Where does Jamie sit?
I think from gate 5...
First 6?
Yeah, I think she's going to sit at least 3 pairs back the fence, but that'll still be close enough. I mean, we've got a solid enough field here. So, Jamie, a lot of people think that Jamie wins races in the straight with her hands. Jamie wins races in the first 150 metres.
Exactly.
Because she makes the right decision there. So, I've got no doubt that this horse will be in the best position it possibly can after the first furlong. Its track work has been elite from all reports. The last 2 wins have been superb. It's beaten all of these. There's no local putting their hand up saying, I'm the one to beat this campaign. You back the horses that are flying at the right time, and that is the Romans.
Well, that's right. You don't ignore the obvious. What about Bet Deluxe? What are we doing with it?
Bet Deluxe, well, we're having a bet. We're getting Deluxe. That's what we're saying for Caulfield Cup Day.
What about the fave, yeah?
Yeah, and we are too. $4.40 at the moment with Bet Deluxe for Smoke and Romans. I think that's a genuine bet for me. You're going to get around $19 for Montefilia, $12 for 𝘨𝑚arian, $21 for Vow and Declare. Horses at a top end if you're looking for a blowout, but I'm all about the Romans for me on the Caulfield.
Me too. I'm number 17, Smoke and Romans. Have you got a best on the program? I found it tough with a heavy 10 and rain to come.
I'm going to go to the McCafe Sprint, and I like a horse coming down from Sydney for Mark Newton called Dragonstone. It handles the wet.
I know him.
Number 9. Its first up form's elite. Its heavy track form's elite. It's going to come down here. I think some of this Sydney form, you've got to pick the eyes out of it when it comes down to Melbourne, because Some of it stacks up and blows the Victorian form away, and some of it doesn't stack up. I think this will stack up here. Dragonstone, getting around the $4.40 mark. I'm pretty keen.
Good man. Okay, don't forget, go to betdeluxe.com, get online and give us that trifecta 1, 2, 3 in order for the Everest, and you can win the $500 voucher with the compliments of Dan Murphy and, of course, Bet Deluxe. Go on, deluxe yourself. Gamble responsibly.
Inside the Barriers. Brought to you by Bet Deluxe. Serious betting for serious punters.